There it goes. So, hello, dear Paul. Thank you very much for being here today. I feel hugely privileged to talk to you. That you're great to have this webinar again.
Oh, the honor's all mine, Natasha, to talk to like one of the biggest rising stars in the whole EFL sphere. We know each other pretty well. I'm so happy to see you again after quite a while.
Well, thank you very much, Paul. It means so much to us. And thank you very much, dear friends, for watching us today. I hope it's going to be quite an insightful talk. Because today we and Paul, we've decided to talk about like the most perennial, pressing, draining, demoralizing problem, which is making mistakes. I get to know what it is about, don't you?
Definitely. I even make mistakes in English all the time, and even in my speaking club materials, it's like, oops, covered in mistakes. There we go. Because I'm just human after all, as I like to kind of say to myself.
That's true. Thank you very much, Paul, for sharing, because the same for me in Russian. When I have to write posts in Russian, can you guess what is the first tab that is open in my browser? Yes, this is the the national corpus of the Russian language. So I do have to check this from time to time, and that's fine. I guess it would be worse if I weren't doing that.
It's the same with me, Natasha. I've got like dictionaries open everywhere. It's like, that's a big word I don't know. I better check it. So yeah, like we're on the same page there.
Absolutely, that's true. And you know what? Why we've decided to record this, by the way, because I guess it's all about understanding how language works, right? Because we kind of enrich our understanding, we'll see that mistakes are actually not only the way of progress, which they keep saying, right? But mistakes can actually be maybe a sign of progress to some extent.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I think it ultimately depends on, first of all, our mindset, which is going to be nurtured within the learning environment. So, that's why it's really important for the teacher to sort of foster this growth mindset approach to making mistakes, because again, it's all about confirmation bias that, if someone has a certain belief system, and whether they're going to be corrected or not, well, it could actually lead to a total shutdown and failure. And just like not about like making mistakes, just not returning to the lesson at all. So that I think the fact that when someone understands that they make a mistake and they kind of get exposure to it, and creating that right mindset to be more attentive next time, to actually turn the brain on, that is in itself progress.
Absolutely, and that's so true. And I totally agree with the idea of kind of growth mindset, because like in order to make progress, you have to kind of unleash your potential and get rid of some, restrictions. And if you do this, you inevitably will be making mistakes, because this is just how it works, right? We are humans, we can make mistakes, we can have some inaccuracies. And you know what? If we have a look at this kind of, scientifically, right, or academically, how we actually acquire language. We acquire language in certain stages, right? There is even a term like stages of language acquisition, and you can read about it a little bit in a fantastic book, How Languages Are Learned. It's like my personal Bible. And they say that at certain stage you are making mistakes, because this is just inevitable. This is how you try new language. And they say that if your students or you are making mistakes, it actually can be a sign of progress. Why? Because when you're fine with one stage of language development, right, of course you naturally will be striving for higher stages. And you kind of head for higher stages, you will need to make your kind of tentative steps towards some more complicated grammar, more complex vocabulary, right? And when you try, you will be making mistakes, because this is a new material for you. This is kind of new arena for you to fight in, so to speak, right? So, and if your students are attempting to use something more complicated, they will make mistakes, and it's a sign of progress. If we compare it to a situation, for example, when your students are totally accurate, they're flawless, but they're not trying anything new. That's why they're stagnating, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's like basically like it's about kind of venturing out of that comfort zone onto sort of new levels, new planes, because again, that again, by having the sort of fixed mindset where you believe that either learning is innate or certain skills are innate, or basically just playing it safe, well, you're not going to get anywhere. And then the thing is, I would question the teacher who would be pushing such a kind of strategy within the classroom, because that would be quite worrying. Because again, I agree with everything that you say, and I think it ultimately comes down to the teacher to allow students to kind of venture out there, to kind of give them some guidance, some kind of exposure, examples that are set to allow that to happen. But you'd be surprised that many do not. That's the thing.
Absolutely. And that's so true, because you do have to kind of endeavor beyond what's
Yes.
accustomed to you, right? Because unless you can't make any progress, is always about something new. And when you try
Yes.
something new, you are like, you're bound to make mistakes, and that's fine. These are
Yeah.
the first steps towards making progress.
And I think it's also important as a teacher to give kind of, sort of references to sort of everyday life. Like I often tell my students that, like, don't expect a trainee pilot to fly a Sukhoi 27 in his first 10 minutes of learning to train to fly. He's not going to. He's going to be sat in the classroom for like a year before he touches a plane. Similarly, a heart surgeon is not going to perform heart surgery, in his first sort of couple of years of training. Similarly, I'm sure, like, there's an expression in Russian, if I'm not mistaken, every first pancake is always a disaster. And so, the point is that it's just an innate part of learning and getting better at anything. But the point is that you just have to sort of embrace those mistakes, because at least when you do, you allow yourself to be, like, psychologically much more attentive the second time, is when you actually pay more attention, and you self-correct, or the teacher corrects for you. And that naturally is self-progression.
Absolutely. Self-correction or correction is about progression. And in order to have something to correct, you first have to make mistakes, don't you?
Yes, exactly. You have to open your mouth. That's the thing. That's
Right.
what it comes down to. You actually have to come to class and open your mouth.
Absolutely, absolutely. And even in business, they say that it's totally useless. It's a waste of time to try to make a splendid, flawless product at the beginning. Just make something, then put it
Yes,
in
yes,
the market, and
yes.
customers will tell you how you should correct this. And this is a way to progress. And this is how you not only make progress, but you tailor your product to something what is
Mhm.
really natural, or you tailor your English, let's put it linguistically, to something that is really natural and um,
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I think that I think there's no harm